The real point, though, is that this is the vocal minority. These are people that have their opinions and have nothing but time on their hands to make calls to Helium, write emails to Helium, and threaten to go protest. And guess what? Michael Rappaport insisted on going through with the show, and you're never gonna guess how many people were there to protest.
Yo,
0.
Portland, first of all, how the fuck are you guys calling yourself protesters? You don't show up when there's a little snow. But you who made this sticker, I got it, you fuck. I got the fucking sticker, asshole. You dumb motherfucker. You're not about that life. You didn't fucking show the fuck up. Look at you, fuck. You didn't a little snow. A little rivers fucking freeze, seas freeze. How the fuck are you gonna freeze the rivers and the seas when you don't come out in a little snow? I got the fucking sticker, asshole. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put some watermelons on it and I'm gonna sell it myself, you fuck.
So that's my whole point. These people are all fucking talk, and you're letting your comedy club be run by just Karens.
No, wait.
But Andy, with that, I'm sorry, Joe. I got to jump in here.
Go ahead.
With that, though, like you made a comment about there is no middle ground. We're all just like yelling, talking heads on the extremes. That's where we are now. The more you yell, the more I have to listen to you, whether your point makes sense or not. You're a fucking asshole. You're gonna scream at the top of your lungs. Well, that means I have to listen to you. Like that's where we are in our society right now, and it's horseshit.
So we talked a little bit. Was it on the mini episode that I brought up Sinclair Broadcasting, right, where they own all the news stations, right? The thing that Miguel or anybody or they can't seem. It's not like it didn't seem like he didn't know this, but I don't think he understood the gravity of it. That Helium Comedy Club, that's like a national chain of comedy clubs, right? So what happens is Michael Rappaport's people get with Helium Comedy Club and he performs at every fucking Helium all across the fucking country. You're just one stop in the Helium Comedy Club universe that he's going to get paid no matter what. So he's going to go there. It doesn't matter if anybody fucking shows up. He probably has like some deal with every fucking club or like every location for Helium. So you're just missing kind of the larger point of business, doing business and capitalism and being a business person is more important than how you feel about Michael Rappaport.
But it's not, Joe. You see, I already said this. My outrage is more important than your business.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Right.
But it's my outrage.
Okay. So now I want to get into this because hang on. This is the only news item that exists about what we're talking about right now. I want to give full credit to this my boy here, Christian Toto, who writes this Hollywood and Toto, a right take on entertainment. This was the only news item that I could find even talking about this. So I mean, I felt we had to talk about it, but this rounds it up so well. So Kurt Metzger, Jim Florentine, Dave Smith, and Luis J. Gomez deemed problematic. And okay, a Seattle comedy club just canceled 4 comedians from its winter spring schedule after careful consideration, and he kind of rounds up what we already read, that email. So then Kurt here writes, I'm sorry, but this is too funny not to immediately put on blast. Also, am I mistaken that this club is in Seattle's historic Chaz district? Kurt looks up towards heaven. Thank you, George Floyd, for the fun I'm about to have with this on Twitter after I take a quick shit. BRB. And like I said, these guys don't need our help. We're only doing this right now as a fan of comedy, as a consumer of comedy, as somebody that wishes that Kurt Metzger was coming to comedy at the Carlson, as somebody that loves Jim Florentine and wishes the best for Jim Florentine. And then, all right, so this is where he posted the email, and I said this is where they were gonna, the name of the comedy club owner, Jess Anderson, right? So Jess Anderson, just take the word comedy off of your title here. Just say bar owner and booker, because you're not a champion of comedy.
You don't know anything about comedy.
Right.
So
So
by the way, let me just throw this in before we move on. These four guys deemed problematic. You know what I have to say to that? Where the fuck have you been? Like, that's old news. Like, you can't come to me in 2024 and say these four guys are problematic to what we think about comedy. Okay? They haven't changed. They've been doing this successfully for years. And you're coming out. All you're doing is telling everybody how you fucking feel right now. You don't have to tell me about Kurt Metzger and Jim Florentine and Lewis and Dave. Like, you don't have to tell me jack shit about who they are. All right? You're just revealing yourself to be a fucking idiot.
right. And then this was Lewis's reaction. He said, "Yes, on today's Real Ass podcast, but to be fair, it's their right to book who they want to book. They weren't particularly shitty about it. I'll find another venue. I would not have chosen to make a stink about this. There are plenty of venues that will not book us." I mean, that's true. I do feel like, Lewis and Dave, they play in that sandbox where they're going to get on, people's radar about being controversial. But I'm more concerned that the Capitol Hill Comedy Club doesn't go to bat for First Amendment rights.
Well, and I was going to jump in on that too, because as I'm listening to this and I'm reading this and I'm going through this with you, it's like these guys say offensive things because it's fucking funny, right? Like,
Right.
that's part of comedy, is to like sensationalize things and like have enough truth in it that it makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable. That's what makes really good comedy. And the fact that, well, our sponsors and the people in our community don't like the idea of this, well, okay, that's all well and good, but the key to the First Amendment is not necessarily liking what people say. It's just being like, hey, you're allowed to say that. Yeah, it's pretty shitty, and I don't agree with it, but you know what? That means I can say something shitty too.
Right. But we need champions of this right now. And we've had, like Joe was saying, people were protesting Dave when he was trying to come here. And did he still go through with the show, Joe? Do you remember? They still had him on, right?
Oh yeah. There was only like 3 protesters.
Well, that's the whole.
It's because it snows here.
Yeah,
if we've learned anything from Rappaport, it snows here, so that the protesters don't show up.
Right. Lucky for us. But this article goes on to have a quote from Jess Anderson. A stand-up herself offered a laughable defense of the art form in her note, where we truly value the art of comedy and diverse perspectives it brings to our lives. Her club regularly features open mic comedians, and who knows what they may say on a given night. Capitol Hill also shares a regular showcase dubbed Queers on the Front. But God, it's just making me so aggravated that a comedy club it's just like bending to the will of people that have no idea what comedy actually is.
Well, and see, the other piece of this too is you're going to the Pacific Northwest. Like, this is the home of people that take themselves, one, way too seriously, but they consider themselves like these liberal, open-minded, intelligent people, and they're taking the wrong stance on this.
Yeah,
correct.
You're free.
Like,
you're free to overdose on heroin in the Pacific Northwest, but if you want to say something, we're not going to allow that.
Yeah, because I'm going to say some nasty words and talk about sex. That's what's going to get. That's the important thing that we can't share with people.
But that's the thing about the thing that I remember about Dave Smith getting protested in Rochester was when he went back and he talked to Lewis and he talked to Big J and he's talking to other comedians. What he said was how great the Carlson was, how great Mark and I would assume Vinny, how supportive they were, that they were not going to let a comedian's fan base or career or anything that they had to say be interrupted by what the vocal minority would think. And like
that's the key term.
Yeah.
The vocal minority.
Right.
It goes back to the other part of the whole other part of this. It's like you need to have those champions to stand up and go, listen, we understand that this is the minority and these people are fucking morons. They don't know what the fuck they're doing.